Are you looking to create a project budget in Google Sheets? Are you not sure what you need to include or where to even start? Perhaps you're looking for a project budgets template and would just like to quickly and easily download it without having to build it all out from scratch. Well, if that's the case, you've come to the right place because I'm going to be enabling both of those things. So just on the second one there, I've dropped a link in the description below. So if you wanted to download this template, this finished template that you can use right away, then click that link in the description and you can get it. And then all you will need to do is import it into your Google Sheets account. You would just literally download it and then go File, Import, press OK, and you'd build it into Google Sheets and it's right ready to use. But if you do want to build it from scratch, then I'm going to now move on to that in this tutorial here today. So the first thing I'd like to do, and I'd recommend doing, is just providing some information at the top relating to the project. So what I like to do is I will do two different boxes here. You can do more as well, but these are the ones I like to do. So I'm going to move this down actually. We're going to put boxes around both of them, or borders I should say. And as you can see, I'm just doing some basic information about the project name. So that could be, in this example, creating a project budget, and the project manager could be your name. So let's just put proper project management in there as an example. You just want to give some information, to whoever opens up this document of what it's for, and who's actually kind of in control, who's in charge, who's the boss. So we've got that information at the top, and you could put some other things in there as well. You could put your project sponsor and those kind of things. But once that's done, then I would start building out the actual template itself. And I'm going to be suggesting some recommended columns here. You could also adapt these, and it does depend on the project you're working on, but this is a very general project budget that works for most projects. So do bear that in mind. It is designed to be used for most different industries. So I always like to start in column B and just make column A a little bit smaller. It just gives a little bit of a border to the project budget itself. So I'm going to put all the columns in first, and then I'll start working through some of the drop downs and what you'll need to do. Again, I like to add some formatting just to differentiate the column headers and to also just make it kind of stand out and look kind of visually better. So the first one, we're going to have task. And as I go through these, you'll get an idea of some of the information we need to capture in our project budget. So we've got description, we've got status. And I'll actually do the format painting afterwards so that I don't have to keep going into the formatting bar at the top there. So we've got planned start date. The next one you want to include, as you might have guessed, is planned end date. And then after that, we need actual start date, and again, actual end date. We're going to then, this is where it gets quite interesting. So I'm going to blue these out like this. You could wrap these as well if you wanted to. I like wider columns. If you did want to wrap, then you would click on this icon here, and then you would basically put wrap there, and that would bring them underneath should they need to. So I'm actually just going to do that for now. I don't actually want the wrapping, but if you did, that's where you'd go for that. Now here's where it gets interesting, as I say. So what you want to do here is we want to put labor, and we want to we're going to want to merge these. So we want labor here, and I want to put them in the center. Sorry, it took me a while to find that. So labor, and then we want materials, and for materials we're going to have 4 columns. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go merge, and again center. Then we're going to go fixed here, and we're going to need 3 here. So again, we're going to merge and we're going to center. And then the last one is we're going to put balance, and this one's only going to be 1. I'll put it in the center as well. I'm going to put all of this in Let's put this in a darker grey for now, just to differentiate it. I don't know if that is actually. Let's have a look. It might be, but I'll put some borders around it. And we just need to finish off these ones. So we're going to put hour here. I'm actually going to do one more thing. I'm going to left click in the row, and I'm actually going to put these in the center as well. So we've got hour, $/hour. So that's obviously the number of hours worked. This is the amount per hour for the labor. So it's basically the labor cost. Then we need to put units. And again, we're going to want the dollars per unit, or units I should put. We are going to put travel in here, if I can spell. And we're going to put as well equipment. So I'll put equip or space. Again, spelling error there. Then in fix, we're going to have kind of miscellaneous costs. We're also going to have our budget and our actual. And then, as you can probably imagine, I put balance. I spelt balance wrong a while ago. I'm sorry about that. That should have been balance. And in the last one, we're going to have under or over. So basically, this column here is the big one, because it's going to suggest whether we're in budget or not, essentially, which is obviously very crucial. I'm going to bold all of these. So I've just left clicked and I've selected all these cells. And I'm going to just bold. And I obviously now need to do the shading as well. So, and I'll put this, and I put the box around it, or borders. So here we go. So we're getting there. It's starting to take hold. Now you just basically put in your tasks. So it obviously depends what the tasks are for your project. So I'm actually just going to put in task here, just as an example. Obviously you're going to need to, change these, as I say, depending on your project. And if you want a subtask, then you should put these under as well. In Google Sheets, sorry, that's my Grammarly little thing to make sure I spell correctly, which obviously isn't working, but it's in the way now. So in Google Sheets, you can't indent, which is a little bit frustrating. Well, you can, but it's not in the kind of traditional sense as you would in Excel. So if you're going to want to put some subtasks, add it as a, add the separate row as a subtask. And then what you need to do is you need to go on format, number, and then you need to go custom number format. And then if you put space, 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 or basically each space is a space within the text cell. So I'll put 5 in. So I'm pressing space on my keyboard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at apply. And then you'll see it's brought it out and it's brought it across. So it's giving you that kind of parent-child relationship. So that's really, really useful. And then if you were to kind of start adding tasks there, then obviously that hasn't got that formatting. So it just kind of neatens it up a bit. And then you could put more subtasks in. But you get the idea. And that's all we're going to do for now. If you're looking for specific tasks, then there's plenty of resources online for that. But to be honest, if you're creating a project, budget, you know exactly what tasks you need to add. Borders. I didn't need that one, so we'll delete that. Now, description. This would be a place to basically discuss the task. So give an overview to any stakeholder who was to open up the project budget what the task is related to. So that's where to put that. Status is going to be, I'm going to recommend 4 different statuses, and I'm going to do a key at the bottom. So I'm going to put a status key, and then we're going to have not started, in progress, on hold, and complete. So a very basic status key. You can probably imagine what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put that in a grey. I'm going to put that in a border as well. And then what we can do here is if I select all of the cells, right click, and I'm going to go on data. Oh, don't want that. Sorry, data. And we want to do data validation. And what we want to do is make sure that it's a list from a range, and then we want to select this as the range, press OK, and show drop down list in cell, save. So now we have our status against each task built from the key. So I quite like that. It just makes it more user friendly. Now, planned start date, as you imagine, that would be the planned start date of the task. Again, this would be the end date. And then you've got the actual start date. and the actual end date. Now, the reason why you want to take both is because if you put the planned start date in and the actual start date, you can look at the variance, and basically you can track your project predictability or if it's running to schedule. So I would recommend putting both these columns in. Of course, you could just put start date and end date if you didn't want to track your project at that level and that detail. But as I say, there's benefits of doing this, so I would recommend it. Now at this point, you're basically just entering the data against the task. So let's say it was a construction project and there was a particular task, then you would be putting in how many hours. So as an example, let's say we needed to, this is incredibly, I'm sorry about how basic this is, dig a hole. Let's say we need to dig a hole for 2 hours and it's going to cost us $10 to do that. So one other thing I should quickly do actually is we need to change this, we need to change the dollar an hour formatting. So I'm going to basically do that now. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting all the cells and I'm going up to the top and I'm going format as currency. And I need to do that for all of the different currency columns. So we'll do that as well. And I believe that's going to be, that's actually going to be one, that's going to be one. You know what? I think most of them are now. So I'm actually just going to put all of these in the currency format. So let's do that. I can always take it off, but I'm just putting some numbers in here as an example of how all the rest of the columns are going to work. So if I just put, actually I'll put a few, well, let's imagine we're doing 3 different columns. So let's say this is $15. Let's say this is $25. Now materials, of course, you could just put how many units you need for the different materials. Apologies, that doesn't need to be in this formatting. So I just need to put that as formatting. I need to remove that formatting. Oh dear, the joys. More formats, automatic. Okay, there we go. 0, 0. This obviously needs to be dollars. So let's put 15, 15, 15. Travel, travel expenses for this particular task. Let's say it's the cost of traveling to dig a hole. Maybe it's the digger to get the digger there. That costs us $25. Obviously these numbers are completely ridiculous. And that would be obviously for these different tasks. Equipment, space, I'm just going to put random numbers in now, by the way, just so I can show you how the most important columns work. Now, MISC, we're going to put in 0, 0, 0, because there's no miscellaneous cost involved with the digging a hole, believe it or not. It could have been a shovel, actually, if we're really getting into it, but we're not. So now here is where it gets interesting. So what you want to do here is, firstly, you want to put equals, and you want to put this cell minus this cell. And then you want to drag it down. Because what this is going to be basically doing is looking at the budget, so budget first minus the actual, and that's going to give you an overview of how much each task cost against its initial budget. So let's say we budgeted, $100 for this task. So we said it's going to cost us $100 to dig a hole. Well, what did it actually cost us? Well, in the actual column, this is what you need to do. You need to put equals, and it's clever, Google Sheets, because it's giving you some recommendations here. But that's actually not going to work, because what we need to do first is we need to, open brackets, we need to do this times by this, because it's 2 hours at $10. So we need that to begin with. We also need to do the same for the materials. So it cost us, we need to do open brackets, this times by this, because that's basically saying we needed to borrow a particular unit for another hour, and that cost us $15. I do need to change that in a second, because that doesn't actually make sense. There shouldn't be a cost there if there's no unit. So I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. Now we need to plus the travel cost, the equipment space cost, and the miscellaneous cost. And when we hit enter, it cost $95 to do all of that. Now that actually should be 1, because as I said, if it's cost $15, otherwise that would be 0 if that unit was 0. It can't be, it's not going to cost us $15 not to borrow anything. So now, having done that, the actual is $110. So we are $10 over budget. That's what the minus means. We budgeted 100 and we've actually spent 110. So we've lost budget. So if I drag this down here, then that's obviously going to have the formula, this one here. then that's going to apply the the formula the whole way down. And now as you go through this, let's say this took this task, let's do another quick task. We've dug a hole. Let's just put this is obviously a construction project, so let's say we built a sign. Absolutely terrible. If anyone is into construction project management, I really apologize, because this is terrible. I'm not going to even put a description in there. Let's say this is complete. This one's in progress. I'm just going to put some dummy data in just to give you an idea. Oh, another thing we can do with these, I should have said, is we're going to select all the columns. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put date. So 01/01/2022. Let's just bring this down. So yeah, I'm just putting some dates in here. That's just obviously for tracking, but that's what I would do. I'd put these into kind of number format, and then let's just put 05/05/2022. And another thing you could do actually at the top, which is good, which is quite nice. So I'll probably do some. You could do some project dates. So you could do project start date, and then you could go equals, and then you could go actual start, the first in the project. So you could do that. So that would, let's just put, we planned it on the 5th, and let's just say it happened on 05/06. It happened to start the day after. I think this is an American formatting. So let's just put that at here, and obviously we need the border. So that's when the project started. We could put project planned start date, and that would be, let's put this as formatting. That actually was the planned start was this. And then if you were to do project predictability, then you could go something like equals the start date minus this date. That's not going to work, but you get the idea. What we actually need to do here is, this is going beyond the scope of this particular video, so I'm not going to keep you. But what you'd basically be doing is taking away this. You'd need to do it in days. So I think it's a days column. You'd basically do the end date minus this one or something like that. I'm not going to mess around with the formula now. It will be in the template if you download it. But basically, what you need to do there is that you're taking them away, and it's just giving you an understanding of, is this project, did this project start on time? That's essentially what I'm trying to achieve here. As I say, beyond the scope of this project, you want a budget. So let's get back to this. Let's go 5 hours for the labor. The labor was $50 an hour. We borrowed to build a sign. We had to borrow some kind of other, piece of equipment. Well, 3 pieces of equipment, and they cost $45 each. And to travel, we've got a few people coming to do this sign, $50 to get them down. Train to train down. Equipment space, we needed another $100. And miscellaneous costs. I don't know, builders. Building this sign. It's a hot day. They need some water, so let's say it costs $25. To keep them hydrated. It's expensive water, I know. And let's say the budget was $300. Now, the actual was $560, because, that means it's cost us $260 more than we budgeted. These are all just examples, not very good one, granted. So that really is how to create a project budget in Google Sheets. I've flirted with all sorts of rubbish and nonsense, but what I've been trying to do is just to show you how it all works and how you would build it out, essentially, depending on your project. The things I would say, the most important things, is that you have obviously your actual when you're under over, and you want to set up these kind of formulas. So take a look at that now. If I double click, actually, you might see it in action. You want these formulas to automate it, and you want to be, this is the big one. You could even set up some conditional formatting here to show you when there's over under. So you could have anything that's kind of negative, you could have in red, and anything that's positive in green. So if, let's say your budget was, you spent less than your budget, then that could be in green. So that's another thing to do, and that's what I would recommend doing as well. Again, that will be in the template if you do decide to download it. But with all of that said, I hope this video was useful. If it was, please do hit the like button. If you have any questions about building a project budget in Google Sheets, then drop it in the comments down below. Do consider subscribing to my channel and heading over there. If you're using Google Sheets or any other project management platform for managing your projects, then my channel is for you. So with all of that said, I suggest you download this template. It will save you a lot of time if you haven't already. And with all of that said, I hope you have an excellent day.